Lots of steering wheel here. Give me steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on! Whoa!
Your leg, my please. Your leg.
How the f*** is this possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? From our radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the hanging straight.
Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello, welcome back inside the Perfect Minute Podcast number 917. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Camera. You know why I've asked you here.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
It's the least you can do. You know, I'm harmless to some, a dream to some, and a nightmare to others. What movie is that from? All right, this is Todd, as I mentioned. Hey, tonight we're going to cover some Formula One news, and even though it's the off-season and most people roll up the sidewalks and quit, we don't. We suffer through the winter season along with you, digging deep for F1 news. Now, I say, everyone, kudos to the F1 press. They don't stop either, so kudos to them. And all chapeau, hat tip to them for continuing their quest of delivering you cutting-edge Formula One news, even in the off-season. And really, a season without Vroom anymore means there's just very little to talk about. But I have to introduce my guest tonight, because you know her, you love her, all the way from the right coast of our nation's capital, nestled in our nation's capital, well, just outside, actually, just over the state line, if you will. That's right, you know her, the lovely, the redoubtable Grace. How you doing?
Woo!
Oh,
I'm doing pretty
boy.
good.
Hey, I've got this. Yes, Grace McLaren. Obrigado. Oh, congratulations.
I barely could watch Abu Dhabi. Like, I mean, it was one of those where, like, longtime listeners know how much I love the, like, random permutations. Like, if Charles Leclerc jumps off the Eiffel Tower and finishes fourth, they could get the world championship. Like, I mean, all the permutations really were in McLaren's favor, but it was hard. It was hard. I thought Miami was hard to watch. Nope, Abu Dhabi the whole time. I'm like, yeah, I really can't watch this. I'm just going to
as you being a McLaren fan, me being a Ferrari fan, so I'm on the opposite side of thinking, oh my gosh, then Max takes Oscar out, and I'm thinking, and then Charles comes all the way up to P3, and it's like, my gosh, I've got Ferraris running 2 and 3. If Lando would just have a mechanical issue and pull off to the side of the road, we could take this.
We could do this,
And I bet you were the opposite, like, oh my gosh,
just hold it together, man. Exactly, just hold it together.
You were probably like,
Oh, Jesus.
Just hanging on by a thread.
It would have not been okay. It would have not been okay. But it ended the way it should. And I said this with Paul and the Richard, but I couldn't be happier for McLaren. The men and women of Woking did an amazing job, and I'm so happy for them. And because I love McLaren too. It's an incredible team. I've loved them, for pretty much my whole life. So it's great. And they're not Red Bull, so it's cool.
I like Red Bull too. I love them too. They're great. Congratulations. So you were on the edge of your seat, and you had to be like throwing things at the TV when Max took Oscar out.
Yeah, it was not okay. I was not okay. It was not. And I mean, at least Flip watches like he's into Formula One now. I've definitely had like roommates or friends who are just like, I don't know why you're so upset about this. I'm like, I don't think you understand. Right. Or I'd have friends I'd be like, I'm about to tell you something and you're not going to understand any of these things. But at the end go, wow, great. That's great. Just say that. Okay, cool. So, but yeah, I think if something had happened to Lando, it would have been like, that would have been McLaren's luck for sure. But they did not. He did not. He made it, and we got the World Drivers' Cup. Although I know we're going to get to the prize-giving ceremony. Yeah. But why the Constructors' Champion trophy is like this big.
I know.
And yet it fits all the logos on it. I'm not sure I understand how that happens.
Yeah, I don't know either. How does that happen? Is
have
that like
questions.
quantum physics or what is that?
I mean, because you can see like Lotus is way down at the base, and then you can see Mercedes up here, but there's only like 2 rows in between them. Like the Stanley Cup is ginormous, and they take rings off, right? Like, I don't understand how they fit all the unless they like it's like you just get like a squared or something afterwards,
Yeah.
Or like, you get instead of like 4 logos, you just get 1 and they just put the number 4 next to it or something, I don't know.
Dave, our wonderful patron who's in the audience this evening, he says it's Eddie Everywhere sized.
It is indeed. But I just was like, I don't understand how both Lotus and Mercedes fit on the same trophy and the trophy's only this big.
I don't either. I feel like there's like a Next Generation episode where they're like bending time and space to make that happen.
Something. And I think my favorite is still always the MotoGP Drivers' Championship trophy. They put like their own little piece in. I think more championships should do this, like where you just like hook your little piece in and then they just spot weld it later and done.
Yes.
Trophy.
Yeah, they just slide it in the spot.
Yeah.
Then they do all the hard work afterwards.
Yeah, right. But it's such a nice, and they put the little camera on the inside so you can see Jorge Martin, sliding his little piece in. It's nice. Nice touch.
It is nice. That is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you had to be happier about this than Jorge Martin's championship.
Well, I mean, it was a pretty epic season. I think that anybody could have won. I think it would have been epic and amazing. So, again, as I noted on the last podcast, they were talking about, Leclerc in his, speech was like, well, I'm still a little bummed about the race. That wasn't that. It was, just a couple days ago or whatever. And I was like, yeah, could you imagine Jorge Martin be like, yeah, it was 3 hours ago. Pecco Bagnaia is sad, right? Like, it was 3 hours ago, and here we are at the prize-giving ceremony.
Right.
At least they had some downtime in between.
Well, they didn't have to fly to Rwanda. That takes some logistics.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
A little bit of time to get there.
Yeah. Well.
So that's good. Hey, did you see the video today of Lando out shopping for Richard Mille watches, driving around in his Ferrari F40?
Boy, what a life.
Huh?
That sounds like, my cats show up and they're like yawning. Like, oh, because your life is hard. That third nap you took this afternoon while you're bringing in all that money into this house, man. Woo!
Right.
Drive my Ferrari shopping for watches. Woo!
$300,000 watches.
Yeah, right? No problem.
Yeah,
I got
no big
this.
deal. Yeah,
Oh, man.
I quoted that tweet on X and I said, oh man, I hope he puts the gift receipt in there for me because I'm a bit of an Omega man myself.
Yeah,
so
right?
Sorry about that.
I have preferences.
Yeah, it's not Richard Mille. I don't think they look that great on my wrist. Not that I've ever had one on my wrist. I just know my wrist. And I know that wouldn't look good.
I know.
But a Speedmaster, that's nice.
I don't have to go to Germany to know it exists, right? You can just know.
You don't have to be Italian to know that, Capizios exist.
That's right. Omegas, that's a good. I'm here with that.
Omega, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Omega'd look good on you, Grace.
There you go. I have to wear it on my other wrist, like Lewis Hamilton.
We can't all pull off the Tag Heuer Golf Square watch like Paul has.
I mean, right. Yes. That's right. Not that fancy.
I'm just saying. Mine is a Michael Schumacher Omega Speedmaster.
Oh.
Yes, as evidence behind me there. The picture. For those of you watching. Hey, Grace, how about some F1 news? After the championship.
Mine is a Tim Cook special, right? Like
I'm like planes, trains, and automobiles. No, but I've got a nice Casio.
Yeah, right. That would. Oh, that's great with the little calculator on it.
Yeah,
that would be wonderful.
That was the bomb back in the day.
It was. That's a big deal. Kids these days, they don't know. They don't know how cool that watch was.
They don't.
No idea.
So much so, math teachers had to be on the lookout for them.
Yeah.
Square root and all that. I know. Get to the show.
This is the show.
All we were writing is things so you could turn it upside down and they said funny things, right?
Wait a minute. So where's the cosine button? Right there it is.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, that is true. Hey, Grace.
Yeah.
After the championship is won,
yes,
to celebrate your team McLaren winning the 2024 Constructors Championship.
that's right.
The first time in 26 years. Where better than to go Rwanda?
Don't go to Kinko's. That's what.
Not Kinko's. You get
take
caught
home.
again.
Yeah, the take home here is don't go to Kinko's. It really wrecks you for like 26 years.
Right. So just FYI, Zach, if you steal the Ferrari technical manual for 2025,
Don't
use your own copy machine. Don't go to
That's
the
right.
Kinko's and copy it, okay?
That's right.
That's not
Bad
good.
news.
So anyway, so they jet off to Africa.
Yeah.
To host, and they had this whole opening ceremony, which is super cool. These guys in drums and a lot of cultural dance stuff. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. And then they proceeded after that to celebrate Rwanda, and then they proceeded to have like a 3-hour prize giving gala.
long.
It was like,
Yeah.
after some of it, I was kind of like, I don't even know what they're talking about now.
There's only so much Tom can do to keep this rolling, right? Like,
Yeah, I know.
he's like, I don't know who you are. How's it going? How are you enjoying the show? What's up?
Right. Who are you? Oh,
cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. I got some random questions for you. We got to keep the show moving.
Right. Yeah. It was.
Although we were skipping around through it, to see the highlights, and Jackie Ickx, I guess, gave the endurance championship, right?
Yep.
But anyway, he's talking and they're playing the music, and I'm like, you do not, like, it's Jackie Ickx. You do not music him off the stage. He can be there as long as he wants. Oh, you other fools will music you off the stage. You let that man speak. He can speak as long as he wants. He never even answered the guy's question. He just said.
Started his own. Yeah.
That's right.
It was great. It's like, hey, Jackie, blah, 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 blah. Wait, here's the question. Jackie just looks at his smiles. Is this thing on? Tap, tap.
Yeah.
Boom.
This
He goes on this
guy,
whole rant of his own.
racing, yeah.
Just general racing and being here. And
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was
He was
unique.
having his own thing. Yeah. I was just like, but that's, you just got to let it go. You just got to smile and nod and don't play the music.
Yeah. It's Clark, it's just best if you let him finish. Clark,
Right.
He's got a little Mississippi leghound in him.
That's right. Just let it go. Let it happen.
Anyway. All right. So they had this big prize giving gala. It's a big award show is what it is for Americans. But in Europe, they called a prize giving gala in Rwanda last week. And it was a grand event in which MBS, Mohammed bin Salem, apparently was kept away from the booth this time. So he didn't get in a fight with Christian Horner. So that was the first positive of the evening. But he was on stage a lot. I mean, you couldn't keep him off stage. He was on the stage and then back down the stairs and see back on the stage and back down. Constantly on. And as he's wont to do, he's always grabbing people and pointing them and hurting them around and pointing them in directions. He's always shooing them here and pointing and orchestrating traffic, even though they're going there anywhere. He steps in and makes the hand motions like, come on, go down the stairs,
Here, I'll help you up the steps, whatever. Yeah.
No, over here. No, over here. Now get off the stage. It's like constantly up and down, always directing people hither and thither. It's just annoying as hell.
And so another one I noticed was when they bring up the president of Rwanda, Paul was his first name, right? So they bring Paul up onto the stage, President Paul, sir. I don't remember your last name now. But anyway, they hand him a mic. I guess his mic wasn't working. So somebody comes out to give him another mic, and there's like a shim-sham switch off, and MBS ends up with the microphone.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even let the guy... He's the president of this country. And you're just like, no. You don't get the microphone. You hand her your microphone. I'm going to take this microphone. I hold the microphone. What?
Yeah, it was sort of like, no. I talk, you listen. And then when we're done, you listen and I talk.
And then I'm going to escort you down the steps like you're, like you're in a walker or something. I don't know. I just thought, like, what just happened here? It's like some shell game with a microphone. But anyway.
I know. Dave says you look like a Bond villain.
Oh,
with your cat.
With Levi, who I thought at first he was sort of like, what is this? Okay, I'll still sit on your lap. It's fine.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Exactly.
Anyway, so he was on the stage. Did you notice? It's a black tie event. I did like that Charles wore a patterned tie and his Ferrari jacket to the black tie event in sort of a, hey, this might be a big deal in a black tie event, but it's not bigger than Ferrari's brand and our standard issued sport coat because that's what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And that's what he wore. So I love when Ferrari shows up and they're in their Ferrari sport coats and a regular tie, giving the middles to the entire, the whole organization. I thought that was great.
Ferrari still being Ferrari. You know what I mean? Like
it's Ferrari. It's like there's no brand in the world bigger than ours. So we're going to do it the way we want to do it.
That's right. Yeah. I did also want to give a shout out to whoever designed Max Verstappen's bow tie. It was a very fashion forward bow tie he's got going on.
It was. Yeah. I noticed that. It was nice. And
nice.
Lando, he would look sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Clearly, nobody covered the action reel of Lando when they replayed that, which included They kept that salacious remark that he said about Max, that it was not talent, it was just luck.
Right.
It's so awkward. That was the heat of the moment. They didn't tell him, then it left him on stage. I kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a
odd.
Yeah, it's just odd that they would leave that in, because then he had to backpedal it in front of everyone, and it's a little embarrassing for him. And that wasn't quite to be honest with you, I was watching him, and I was thinking it's a bit of a misread of him. In general,
it's not really his
honest.
jam. Yeah,
it's not. Lando is a unique personality, and if I didn't know better, I don't know him, but I would say that he's more of an introvert than an extrovert. So putting him in that situation was a bit harsh. The organizers should have, played to his strengths instead of making him uncomfortable about that. I mean, he's a pro. He handled it perfectly, and he was totally fine. No need for me to be, engaged in heavy apologetics on his behalf. But I just kind of felt bad because what little I can tell of his personality, that was an odd situation for him.
Yes, because even when he did the karting awards in the beginning and gave Endo his award, they were like, first of all, they showed the picture of Lando getting the award. They're like, Kenzo was 4 when you got that award. I was like, see, Lando, it's not so funny when you're on the other side of those jokes. Just wait. That never gets better. That never gets better. Pretty soon you'll be Fernando Alonso. Just wait, right? Right. And so he was like, do you have any words for him? And he's like, well, I'm not really good at this. Keep on doing what you do, right? You guys are great. Just keep doing it. But I think that's just not, I don't know. It's just not his jam. He's not very good at it. And that's fine. I agree with you. Like, they could have done it better. And I think if you're going to play Lando's awkward quote, they cut off when they Oscar didn't win. It was him and Sergio and Alex Albon who were up for the Voters' Choice Award.
Action Award,
Yeah, whatever. And they gave it to Checo but they cut off his clip at Abu Dhabi right before he said, "This is a behavior of a world champion." Like, oh, that was the best. I can't believe that was like the most emotion we got out of Oscar all year, and you didn't play it. Like, that was pretty awkward, That would have been a great, cut to Max all of a sudden, But,
right. And then I thought it was a little weird giving the award to Checo for Action of the Year award. And then he wasn't even there, and they had a recording of him, and I was waiting for him in the recording to say, "This is probably the last time you'll ever see me." And it was just so.
Don't forget, I still have a contract.
Tone deaf. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought, some of it too is I think, they're just trying to give shout outs to people, right? Yeah. Like, we're going to pick 3 people that, should get some mention during this evening. And we'll put it up as a Viewer's Choice Award. Right.
Yeah, so. I did notice that Max didn't invite Christian Horner on stage.
He did not.
With Max. And on one hand, though, why would they? Why would he? It's only a driver's championship, not a constructor's. So it's really all about Max, right? But I think the FIA missed it. I think getting a team boss up there with Max to comment on what Max achieved and what it meant to the team and everything would have been a good move, I think.
Yeah, or waved at him, or that guy, because, a lot of the people when they're up there, like Bortoletto when he's up there is like, oh, and I couldn't have done it without these guys, right? You could have given him a shout out, could have said something like, thanks, Red Bull, looking forward to it. Without that Newey guy, we got this. No, nothing.
Nothing. Mm-mm. It wasn't even, I'd like to thank my upstanding and wonderful team boss, Christian Horner.
Nope.
Nope.
Not a word.
Nothing. But Christian was there. That was nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they did a lot of cuts to him, you know.
They did. They showed him.
And Jerry, yeah.
Yeah. They did show Jerry, and then they showed Max's better half, and yep. Got that going for him. Also, Rwanda took the opportunity to not only host the event, but to announce that they officially have bid on a future F1 race.
They sure did.
Rwanda is going to be in the bidding for a future F1 race to bring Formula One back to Africa. You'll never take me away from you.
Oh. There's going to be a lot of Toto jokes if that happens, right?
There is going to be a lot of Toto jokes.
Like, look forward to. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
We're ready.
You might as well have him come down and play guitar.
They should be the concert, the like Saturday night concert or whatever, the Sunday night concert. Get Toto
they
back
should.
Together.
They should play. If they go to Africa, they should play because he's a monster guitar player.
Yeah.
And I should know.
Yeah. I'm here for that. I think that would be a great idea. Otherwise, opportunity missed, people.
And that Picoro shuffle on Roseanne, it's just so good. You had to like that. You played drums. You know, the Purdy beat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Anyway. All right. Hey, and other FIA news. They approved the restructuring in a vote at the World Motorsport Council in Rwanda. Woohoo! Yay!
Man, they were doing
Yes.
They had a lot going on down there.
They sure did. MBS getting that FIA completely contorted to consolidate his power within the FIA. The FIA met in Rwanda, specifically its World Motorsport Council, and they approved the suggested changes. Now, the changes effectively handed power over to the president and the president of the Senate of the FIA, with the audit committee losing its power to investigate financial issues. Now, I'm not going to get into all the lengthy and tedious elements in this. Autosport had a really nice article about it that kind of summed up some of the changes, so check it out there. Okay. But just know that several team members expressed real concern over these changes. And ProDrive's Dave... flew right
Dave
over my
Richards.
head. Yeah, Dave Richards, thank you. Good grief. He's the UK's representative in the World Motorsport Council.
It's only because he was so the only reason why is because he was sitting right behind Christian and Jerry, right? And so at one point he's like in between their two heads, and I went, "Oh, look, it's Larry David." I don't know, there was something in my head. Well, then that became much funnier, and I'm like, "Dang it! That's not who I meant."
Yeah, Dave Richards. I don't know why that just flew out of my head. Yeah.
That's why.
So anyway, he was very much against it. And basically, they expressed their concerns. They said basically it removes accountability of the FIA leadership for bad governance. Because, they can't audit the financials. They can't, it's basically consolidating all the power within the presidency. And then they also, but it's the president of the Senate who is in lockstep with MBS. Right. I find the whole thing really strange.
Of course
it's hard to consider that the current FIA is nothing but a major dumpster fire at this point. And I'm stunned that there still hasn't been a call for a vote of no confidence, if I'm honest.
A dumpster fire with zero transparency. That's great. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. No accountability and zero transparency. I find
cool.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And he's up for re-election, I mean, at this point, I got to think that Formula One itself, Liberty Media, and all of the teams carry a lot of sway, but I don't know if they can exact some of that pressure on the FIA's election process, because I think all these little motoring clubs out there that rely heavily on the cash payouts and everything the MBS gives, or the FIA does, is, secures a vote. So I'm sure he's politicking and all that, but boy,
he just hustles them right to the polling place, right? Like he just takes them by the elbow.
He does. He just kind of puts his hand on their back and just kind of shoves them to the voting booth. Like
you think you get a microphone? You do not. I do.
Right. It's like, here, madam, vote right here. Okay, now step on this scale right here. Okay.
Right.
All right. So that's what he's doing. Who am I? But I just find that consolidation of power a little concerning for the FIA, given the mass exodus of all of its main leadership and the firings and the culling of the herd over there. I find very, very disturbing. So I know Stefano Domenicali listens to this podcast. I'm going to tell you right up front, Stefano, do something about it because a sport like Formula One shouldn't be governed by a 3-ring circus and a runaway governance body like this one is. This is getting ridiculous.
You could just escort him right off the stage.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to come up and just escort him right off the stage onto the scale and then into the cool down room.
That's right.
That would be perfect.
That's right. Have a nice day, sir.
Have a nice day. Go back to where you came from. You were miscast for the play here. So that's my. Oh, and speaking of other FIA, you asked for miracles. I give you the FIA. Ho, ho, ho. The 2025 is going to have some real changes, Grace.
Oh.
Do you recall the Qatar race from 2023 when many of the drivers would get out and seeing double and
oh, yeah. I was going to say, I barely remember Abu Dhabi, and that was 2 weeks ago, right? Like, do I remember Qatar 2023? Do I remember Qatar 2024? I don't know. I know. You are the same. It's like we consume the races, we love it, and we talk about the races. Yeah. But once we do the podcast, I've done all the notes and everything. It's just like purged. It's just like, when you work on a part of a project, like my part was done. I moved on. I don't know where it is. And like, I don't care what its due date is. It's not on my desk anymore. I met my deadlines. It's somewhere else now. I don't know. Right. I know. It's gone.
It shows that you and I are used to doing a lot of multitasking.
There's ones that stick out, like Monaco with Leclerc, and there's certain ones that you'll remember, but really, I don't know. That's never been my strength. I don't know. I really don't know how people remember that kind of stuff, but I don't know. But yes, it was hot. It was hot. It's hot. That happens in Singapore. It's hot. Yeah.
It was hot. Right. Okay. And the FIA focused on driver cooling systems. Okay. And it looks like in 2025, that's going to be put into place. So if the temp is over 30.5 C, now for those of us that are using the old money system, that's 87 degrees Fahrenheit.
I just always remember anything over 30 is hot. Like if you're if you go to a race and you're like, I don't know what, 30 hot.
Yeah.
Anything higher than that, it's too hot. You don't need to know. You don't need to know that, 30.5 is 87. Just 30 is hot.
Right.
T-shirt and shorts.
Although I'll tell you, 87 degrees Fahrenheit, that's an average summer day with about 80% humidity at where I live. I mean, that's normal.
The humidity is the killer.
It is the killer.
It's like 180% humidity here. It's terrible.
It is. The humidity is brutal, but 87 degrees Fahrenheit, that's...
Well...
No, but you're not in Nomax with a helmet, with gloves, in a hot car, and blah, blah, blah. So,
or sitting in the sands in the blazing sun with no shade.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. Like, sun bearing down on you.
As opposed to you like walking through the lovely forest and there's shade and it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there'd be a heat index for sure, which would be much higher than 87 degrees.
The feels like temperature, if you will, Todd, is at least 170.
Everybody needs to grow up. It's called wind chill and heat index. The feels like. I'm done with the feels, folks. 80 degrees. So they're going to put a cooling system. So the system was originally going to be a simplified AC unit, an air conditioning unit.
Okay.
So I was thinking, get in there. No, but here's the good thing, since it's not a 2-seater, I wouldn't have to sit with my wife and fight over the control of the temperature. She's got too hot and I want it colder or whatever.
See, we're the opposite. I'm like, Flip is always trying to turn the heat up. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to die.
No, yeah. No. Yeah. But they were going to do that. But now it seems that the teams have come up with something different. That's not an AC unit. It's something else. The article didn't go into detail, but the FIA is going to allow a car weight increase for those particular weekends that are classified as a heat event to be increased by 5 kilograms to allow for this new system to cool the drivers. So that's good.
Okay.
Keeping the drivers cool so they aren't hallucinating when they get out of the car.
No, that seems like a bad idea. Just in general. None of us should get out of something and be hallucinating. That's never what you're going for.
I know. You shouldn't be driving at 200 miles an hour when you're experiencing those things.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not. We don't.
That's not.
I'm interested though in what the like. I like the idea of that. Like we told them to put in an AC, but this is Formula One, so of course it's probably like carbon fiber and super extra, and has little fiddly wingy bits on it, and it's super like. Because just like an AC box, like, you put in your window unit, that's not going to cut it. This is Formula One, like.
Wouldn't you love to know how much this system will cost? This system will probably cost $125,000.
Who's going to go over their cost cap because of this air conditioner system, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
knowing F1, it'll be 125,000 pounds to do.
Yeah.
It'll be 5 kilograms on the money.
Yes.
And then they'll try to figure out how to make it an effective aero part of the aero, or they'll figure out a way to make the weight shiftable ballast, or the fun they'll have with this thing will breed more directives and clarifications. I'm sure
this is a whole oh my God, there's so much they can do. Maybe Williams, because they forgot to take the thing out of Alex Albon's car at whatever race that was. Yeah. Maybe they have a leg up. Right? Like we started working on a cooling system. We were just ahead of the game. Right.
And then they'll have it in there and they'll have some of the cooling going to the driver, but they'll also have some cooling going right down to the radiators.
Imagine that, it's just accidentally there's just a vent out the back of it. What? Yeah, right? Like,
it's overflow.
I don't know how you wanted me to design this otherwise.
Right.
It just happened. Right. Accident.
Yeah, that cold air will go right across the driver and right in the intake. And
it'll go nowhere near the driver. It'll go right around the driver. And
it'll go right around the driver.
The driver's going to be like
this,
right? Just trying to get some cooling because it's not hitting him at all.
It'll be cooling the turbo. It'll be, And you know how F1 is about this. So it'll do about 20% of what it was intended, and about 80% of it will be used for something else.
Yeah. It was like, Michael Schumacher with the wing mirrors that he just turned so he could see what his tire wear was instead of seeing anybody behind him, right? We're going to use this how we want to.
Right. So another change is they're going to change the gap of the DRS system. Now, the minimum gap has shrunk from 10 to 15 millimeters to 9.4 to 13 millimeters. And with DRS open, the upper boundary remains at 85 millimeters. Now, the FIA has also tightened up the rules on the DRS modes, stating that there must be only 2 positions and that ending the application of DRS must return the wing to exactly as defined to the initial mode. Now, I'm not casting aspersions here, Grace.
I'm not saying
about your team. But I'm pretty sure this is the McLaren Mini DRS.
I'm not saying
avoiding
cheated. I'm just saying that, when they clamped down on their engines in Austin, they suddenly didn't do as well. But, Ferrari wasn't cheating. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So McLaren, thanks to McLaren, they had to have a little clarification about the DRS. Need to talk about your DRS. Well, what? I've got 10 to 15 millimeters.
Yeah, I don't know. It's totally fine. I thought this was acceptable. I looked at the rules. I asked Jonathan. He said it was fine.
Yeah, but no, hey, kudos. More power to him,
That's right.
Creative reading of the regulations. I mean,
that's easily like 98% of the game.
Totally. Yeah. You're absolutely spot on. It's not how can we be good obedient teams and follow the regulations. It's did the regulations really say that?
Yes, right.
It's about like Satan in the garden. God didn't say he'd really die, did he?
No, that's right. No. That comma, where did we put that?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes all the difference.
Exactly. That's how they do that. So anyway, look for the DRS to only have 2, open or closed. No in-betweens, no slightly ups, no, I only need half of my DRS on here because I'm a discerning young driver and I can manage it. None of that stuff.
That's right.
Yep. All right. What else is going on in the news this week? There wasn't a lot really going on.
You know what? And we're only at week 1 of the offseason. We got 12 more weeks of this. So, we better be stretching that news.
I'm stretching it.
I hope people are in, right? We got a few weeks here.
Me too. Hey, Dave is right. It is really cool. Thanks for bringing this up. Dave in the audience brought this up. the Park for May Fantasy GP
Yes.
let me try this in English. Fantasy GP series was third in the world.
I know. That's pretty amazing.
Huh?
Yeah.
We were on the podium thanks to the likes of Melton and Dave and others.
Yes.
Not me. I sunk like a stone in a cushion at a couch. I mean, I was so bad. I was in the top, what? Was I on the podium last year? I think it was. And then this year, I'm like 20th. I was terrible.
I mean, my team's entire goal is just to beat Paul. And we didn't. He won.
You didn't.
He
won.
beat us this year, but we were close. So we
Yeah,
were just
you were.
this much of a DRS closing flap
You were.
from Paul. So
You totally were.
next year we'll do it. But
Well, he had many DRS.
yeah, see?
Clearly. Cheating.
Cheater.
So anyway.
We just took the air. It went past the driver before it went over our radiator.
Yeah,
That's within the rules,
yeah.
right?
Paul's always got a double diffuser up his sleeve.
That's right. Yeah. And so I think, pretty good. But we'll see how next year goes. And, I think pretty good. I'm here for that.
I'm looking for redemption next year on many levels for Ferrari, for my fantasy GP.
Anything is possible, let me tell you.
I know. I need it. Hey, I also put on our Patreon page, I put a question out to all of our patrons about the off-season podcast. And thanks for all of you. I was asking, I said, hey, it's off-season. Sometimes we do fun podcasts that really make F1 Motorsport Anorex mad. Like when we did the wine and cheese, I got all kinds of hate from stick to Formula One. They didn't want to hear They didn't want to hear us talk about us.
It's the off-season, people. What are we going to talk about?
I know.
You got to be creative.
They don't want to hear that crap. They want us to come on and read news. So,
but there's no news. That's the whole point.
That's the thing.
They're all on vacation.
Color me reactionary. I just thought you might like to get to know us a little better. I was wrong. But I did put out there, if you guys would like a creative podcast, give us some ideas. We had a lot of great ideas, and a couple of them I think we're going to try to do. So with all three of us, we'll try to get Paul on and do that. So I think that might be kind of fun.
Yes.
To do. Yes.
Yeah. We learn. We learn things. It's a good time.
Good times. Good times had by all.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I could come on and just talk about, some of the world's greatest guitarists, but nobody wants to hear me wax poetic about that. So,
well, then do I get like a dedicated MotoGP podcast? Like we can do this, I'm sure.
We could do that. We could talk about the return of Marquez.
Woo! Next season's gonna be woo. It's gonna be lit.
You bet. Can you believe the guy that won the championship's getting kicked out to make room for Marquez?
Oh, I mean, there's so much going on there. Everybody's everywhere. So
think about that, guys. In MotoGP, if you don't watch it, the guy that just won the championship is losing his ride at Ducati so they can make room for Marc Marquez.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that's how MotoGP rolls.
Yeah. He went to Aprilia. He rage quitted himself into Aprilia.
He did.
So it was But I mean, I don't know how you couldn't not pick Mark. I think that Ducati was really, that's where you got to go. And they're not going to get rid of Pecco. But
in fairness to Mark, look at what he was doing in a year-old Ducati.
Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Man. Yeah. Although impressive. I did also learn that I never thought about the fact that in MotoGP, they use like last year's spec. Like, so Grassini didn't have the 24 bike. They had the 23 bike.
23 bike.
It's literally the bike from 23. Am I the only person that didn't? I never realized, I just thought it was a new bike built to the old spec.
Oh,
not that it was
I thought it was the old bike. Yeah, I think
it's literally the old bike. And I was just like, so literally now you'll have a new bike, but somebody else will, Franco Morbidelli will be perfect because he was riding last year's bike and he'll be still riding last year's bike. So it'll be fine.
I think maybe Dave schooled me on that because I wasn't sure either, and I think maybe he told me at Moto Matters. Yeah.
Very well. He's an expert, so I just thought, what an idea. I just thought, you just don't get the new specs, you get the old spec. No, it's literally the old bike.
Right.
Good job.
Right. Hey, Grace, what'd you think of that new Ferrari SUV?
Ugh. Ferrari should not have an SUV. I don't know.
Can you
I don't think Porsche should have an
pronounce
SUV either.
I can't pronounce it.
No, that's going to be...
Papua New Guinea? I don't know what it is. I'm a Ferrari fan, for crying out loud.
Don't buy
can't
one.
pronounce it.
I don't know. It's not
I'm
right.
going with Papua New Guinea. I like it. Or no, it's like Wedding Crash. It's Papa Ganoush. The Papa Ganoush Ferrari.
That's right.
That's
there
it.
you go.
The Papa Ganoush Ferrari. I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, in other news, should we talk about him?
I want it now! What's the matter with those twats down there?
We are going to talk about Lance.
How has he still got it? Speaking of last year's spec, how does that guy still have a seat? I really am like perplexed by this.
No,
notion.
he's not a new version of Lance with freshly cut hair. This is literally the Lance from last year.
Oh
that
my
they moved in.
gosh.
Yes. So here's my problem. I'm trying to be sympathetic, compassionate, and realistic about this. But team boss Mike Crack, Autosport quoted him today as saying this, quote, he's talking about the difference between Lance and Fernando. And Mike Crack said this, quote, I think that in general, there's not that much difference between the two, end quote. Now,
how, like, I would have to, if somebody said to me, okay, we're going to ask you a question comparing those two.
Yeah.
How are you going to answer it in general?
Well, here's the thing. The quote in general, end quote part is where all of the nuance of this statement exists.
In general, they're the same.
Yeah. The reality is they're both in midfield cars and finishing off the podium. That's about where the in general ends. Really.
That's right.
You know, Lance isn't a two-time champion. He can't do things in a car that most people can't imagine doing like Fernando does. And his points count this year compared to Fernando's is barely mentionable.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the better, in my mind, honestly, this is one of the best examples of the Emperor's new clothes, if you ask me. I mean, either Crack is smoking it or he's desperate to keep his job. And either way, it leads to silly comments like this.
It's great.
Lance is a good driver, don't get me wrong. And while scoring the same points as Alonso this year may not have made a difference in the constructor's title, he's nowhere near on par with Fernando in any meaningful way. Yeah. And I honestly, Grace, and I don't mean this flippantly, but I think the team does a disservice not only to itself, but to Lance by saying things like this to the media. It's not fair to Lance, if I'm honest.
I guess not, but I also think that Lance shouldn't be at the team. So I can't imagine what did Fernando say when he heard this? I just feel like if I was Fernando Alonso, I'd be like, I don't know, Mike. In general, I would just say that all the time, right?
Well, here's what he said. Yeah. That's
in general, I just pushed all the buttons, hoping that one of them would fix this car, right? Like,
yeah.
In general, they're the same.
But why would you say that about Lance? I mean, anybody that can fog a mirror is like, okay, guys, look, let's not make something out of this that is just patently obvious. Fernando is rated still to this day as one of the best drivers on that grid. If he was in one of the best cars, he would be everyone all they ever wanted in that car. If he was in the best car and was on top of the balance and drivability and everything, is Max, is Lando, and everything, and Lewis, I mean, they'd see Fernando everywhere. I mean, he is a two-time world champion. He's a phenomenal driver, still is. And for all of us out here listening to this, we're like, okay, really? Come on, man. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And why would you do that to Lance?
Because he's got to do what he can. He's got to keep, Lance's dad happy. But I wonder what question, because, this is just a quote. It's not like Mike just walked up to a microphone and was like, well, I think that in general, that, somebody asked him a question. Like, I'd like to see the larger transcript of this interaction to see how we got to this. Because to me, this is something he's really had to kind of think about. Like, how do I phrase this in a way that doesn't make Alonso mad, that doesn't make, Lance and Lawrence mad, that I can keep the peace and not be completely ridiculous in the same time by people going, really, in general, was the best he could come up with. I was pretty impressed. I would have just been like, I don't know, man. I'm just the team principal, just doing a job with what I have. I didn't hire these two knuckleheads.
I'm just a dude playing a dude as a team boss, man.
I'm just doing my job, right? Like, don't ask me these questions.
Right. I don't know. I get it. It's his son. He owns a team. It's his way or the highway. And by God, I've spent a lot on my
But it's
son's
not
racing
helping.
career and blah, blah, blah. And I get all that, but that's Emperor's New Clothes. I mean, come on, man. It just, I could say to my oldest daughter, I spent a lot of money invested in your future and going to college and all this stuff, and you aren't a rocket scientist, Okay, maybe that's not her thing,
Yeah.
And I'm okay, whatever she wants to do,
Yeah, I just think I don't understand how anybody's happy in this situation.
I don't either.
You're killing your team. You're killing your team.
And to be honest with you, I'm concerned on Lance's behalf. I think he's a really good driver, but I feel like it's putting him in an untenable position,
This isn't for him.
There's a lot of stress on Lance, and he would deny it until he's blue. But I have to know just by watching Drive Survive that there's a lot of pressure on him to please his dad out of this, and I don't know. Not to get metaphysical about it, but I just feel bad about the whole situation.
I think that, like you were saying, right? Like we all feel that to our parents, right? That there's some sacrifice that every parent has made, for you as a child to be where you are. And as you become more of an adult, you're like, gosh, my parents did all this stuff for me that I didn't appreciate when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It just isn't a good situation for anybody, right?
No.
And I don't know. He has to be happier somewhere else, but it's also Formula One, and who's going to walk away from that if you're not made to walk away from that? So
yeah, right. No, that's true. All right.
Oh, Lancey.
I don't know.
Lancey boy. I don't know either.
I don't. It's a different category. It's just a different category, if I'm honest. I guess it's just, this year it's going to be a carton of smokes and a better year at the Stroll house.
Hey, smoke up, Johnny!
Yep.
Well, he has managed to not alienate Fernando Alonso. Usually it only takes like 4 races before Fernando is totally turned off by his teammate. He has managed that, right?
Yeah,
They're
he has
teammates
done
and they're still mates.
Yeah.
So you got that going for you, Lance.
Yeah. So you've got that going for you, I guess.
Most of the time, he was all on Ocon, and then he always not on Ocon, right?
Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So,
All right.
maybe this works out well for Fernando, right?
Yeah, maybe. It might.
There's some risk there if you bring in somebody else, right?
Yeah, isn't there, though?
Oh no, it all went wrong.
Yes. Yeah, it all went wrong.
That's right. In general.
Maybe he could team up with Checo or something.
Yeah, I don't know. In general, Paul, Charsley, and I were the same kind of driver. It's fine.
In general, Lance and Checo, of course, I don't know. Still no news on the Checo, but I think I know where Helmut's going.
Goodbye, good luck, and good riddance.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. There's no way Checo, I can't imagine.
I don't know if he survives this. Yeah. But I think Lance and Checo in a team would be funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe they could go to Cadillac. Checo and Lance at Cadillac.
That's pretty great.
I'll just leave
Could you
that
imagine
there.
those unboxed videos of the two of them together? Oh, man.
Yeah, that would be funny.
There's a lot to carry there, Checo.
Checo in a sombrero.
Oh.
Lance in a sombrero. That'd be funny.
Huh? That would be something.
Okay. Should we do some Alvin's Cats?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we can do that. I used to have some music for that. Now I don't have any idea. The music disappeared on me. I don't know why. So I'll pick this music. Who knows? All right, let's do some Alvin's Cats.
Works.
What do you got for us, Grace?
All right. So first, I just wanted something, we had 3 races in a row, and
We did.
rough. Once again, I don't leave my house, but I don't enjoy 3 races in a row. So I don't know how people who leave their house deal with this, but it's a lot, and I wish they'd stop.
Yep.
2 in a row is enough. 3 in a row, I need a life. So
I know Paul, it's asking a lot of Paul to do 3 races in a row, and he's kind of like ready to give me the middles.
he's done.
Yeah.
So Although his like phoned in race review is still better than my like well-researched race review. So,
right.
you know, he's just like, well, whatever. He's just talking about things. So anyway, so you may remember at Abu Dhabi, going into Abu Dhabi, there's a little bit of a back and forth between Max and George, right? That
there was more than that. You know what it was?
Controversy.
Yes.
Oh, it was a little bit of a controversy between Max and George, right?
Yes.
So, you know, this was quite the thing going into the race. And I enjoyed that because I love this sort of like, you know, I mean, because of course there's like some controversy, but we have to make it like this much controversy. And so it was pretty heated, but you know, of course it was made to be more heated than it was, perhaps.
Sure it was.
And it's George and Max. Would you think of two drivers that are more opposite personalities? Not really, right? So it was kind of, there was some joy in the fact that it's that it's George and Max of all people that are, you know, having this controversy with each other.
Right.
So, you know, all of this. And of course, you know, Toto has to get involved and Christian Horner has to get involved.
Making it all a much bigger
controversy.
Yep.
Exactly right. Also completely unnecessary, but completely enjoyable. So Toto Wolff calls Christian Horner a yappy little terrier, right?
Yep.
So then in the, you know, the Thursday pre-race media thing with Tom, where he interviews the team principals, and Christian Horner is trying to pretend that didn't hurt his feelings or that it didn't bother him. So first, I mean, if anybody says, you know, oh, it didn't bother me when Todd called me a yappy little terrier, it bothered you. You brought it up, right? Like, if it didn't bother you, you wouldn't have mentioned it. So the fact that he is trying to defend the fact that what Toto said, now, to be fair, Tom did ask him about what Toto said, but, you know, the fact that he's like, it didn't bother me, it totally bothered you. So first of all, I enjoyed that. And then he goes on this much longer wormhole where we could have used the like Jackie Ickx walk-off music about he owns terriers, he likes terriers, terriers are great. And then he tells us that he has two, one named Flavio and one named Bernie. How has this little gem been not in my life faster, right? I was like, all of this totally made it worth it. And then the fact that like, he's like, oh yeah, and Flavio's the chill one.
Right.
Please go run into Flavio Briatore after you tell us the story about how you have a dog named Flavio and Bernie.
And Flavio is the he's the chill one.
Yeah. That's right. So totally perfect. I was like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Christian Horner knows Bernie, you know, they overlap, but
they're
Flavio is literally like 2 doors down from you right now, right? Like, I mean, maybe he's like 4 or 5 doors down, but he's down the paddock from you right now.
Right.
You're going to run into him at like getting the best coffee, because I love that that's also the like, oh, I was just over there because they have better coffee than we have. Like, I love that this is now the like excuse for why you're in somebody's media or somebody's, you know, paddock that you're not supposed to be in. But yeah, that to me, that little nugget made this whole little kerfuffle between Max and George totally worth it. That we had to watch Christian Horner have this entire discussion about terriers only to find out he has one named Flavio. That's great.
It was so good.
That's a nugget. I loved it.
It was.
That was great. I did also want to mention that I think that what actually is making Lando successful now is that, I don't know if you've noticed that he has the Patrick Mahomes alpaca cut now.
I noticed that. Yes, I did.
Matching haircuts going on there. So
that's exactly right. He's got the whole Mahomes look going.
That's
there.
right.
My man.
That's right. So they share the alpaca haircut and looking pretty good, I think. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, there's the secret. The Patrick Mahomes.
See, everybody wants a If I had hair, I'd wear it like Patrick.
Yeah, well, I can't do my hair. Oh, it would be terrible if I tried to do that. You need body. I don't have my hair very thin. It's not. That's just going to look ridiculous.
Yeah, my hair's.
It's going to look. If I did it, I look like I have a mullet more than anything.
Yeah, right.
Not the alpaca. You have to have some density to your hair for that. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Lando Norris, they got it. Looked good. And then finally, so we've discussed the fact that, you know, I'm open to the fact that there's a lot of new fans out there. And then I've shared that in the last podcast, that it's still sort of weird to me that when I tell people I watch Formula One, when after so many years people went, is that NASCAR? And now all of a sudden people not only know what Formula One is, and they go, what do you think about Max Verstappen? Why? How do you know who Max Verstappen is? Right? Yeah. Like, so much of my life has been trying to explain this sport to people. And now all of a sudden people like know things. And it's weird to me and it catches me off guard. So I'm watching a podcast. Now, they're two Americans. They they're new to the sport. Totally fine. I'm enjoying it. But they're going on about how Lewis is great. And Lewis is great, but they're just going on and on. And I'm like, they're talking as if they've never heard of Michael Schumacher or they've never heard of Sebastian Vettel, and because they haven't, right? Like, and I'm like, I'm losing it. And Flip just goes, this is like you explaining to some Tom Brady fans that haven't you ever heard of Joe Montana? Like, so now that's a thing. I do get a very Joe Montana because I think that's a fair point too. Like, yeah, haven't you people heard of Joe Montana? There's like this whole list of other people that were also great. Lewis didn't invent this. He is great, but he's not the only one. Yeah. And so not any more than, there's been a lot of quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, great quarterback.
Yeah.
But so was Joe Montana.
So was Terry Bradshaw.
Exactly. So let's all keep it, keep it real here, people. There are a lot of people out there besides just Lewis Hamilton.
I agree. It's so funny because, I spent most of my life trying to explain what this sport is. Yeah. And now everywhere I go, I have all these people trying to explain to me what the sport is. I think that's the difference. Like, I know. Yeah. And did you know? Yeah. I know. Yeah. I had somebody waxing poetic the other day about the championship, and he said, "No, you go back in history, like in 2008 or 9." It's like
2008 or 9. That's I was watching before that. That's man.
Yeah. I had to bite my tongue. Yeah, really, 2008, all the way back
then. Yeah.
Yeah. So
boy,
there you go.
Kimi Räikkönen was pretty great.
Yeah. That Kimi Räikkönen. Yeah.
Ferrari had their moment.
I agree. Oh, and did you also see who was at the race?
Pretty remarkable. Very impressive.
That's pretty good for a dyslexic. I would not normally remember very much.
This looks like a bit of a hairy monster. It's a great car.
Aerodynamics come in at any speed. Positive directional stability.
Ford, I think, have done such a good job on the tempo.
All in all, the car is very good on the road.
Uh-huh. There you go. Jackie, JYS was there.
Somebody else who should never be, music off a stage.
Should never music on. No. You can't.
JYS can speak for as long as he wants.
JYS can speak forever. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I celebrate that man's entire catalog.
Yes, as we all should.
Yes.
I'm still just.
And his late wife Helen, she was wonderful.
Somebody trying to explain to you about so there's this guy Michael Schumacher. Have you ever heard of him?
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I know. They were just on a roll telling me all about it. And I said, "Oh yeah, well we do a podcast." Oh yeah, you just started a podcast. No. We're like over 1,000 episodes into our podcast since 2005.
Goodness. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Cool.
You know who won the title in '65? Just throwing it out there.
Who won the title in '65?
In '65?
Yeah, I don't know.
Got to do your homework.
I can't. Again,
it either had to be Clark or Hill.
Yeah, it's true, and it's probably Clark, right? Yeah. So I don't. I have no.
Let's see. Jim Clark won the Indy 500 in '65.
See,
come to think about it.
Again,
but if I go back, like in 2000 through 2004, you know who won those years. 2005 and 6, you know who won those years. Speaking of our pal Flav.
That's right.
Then the Sebastian. Yeah, exactly. Fernando. I had that. Remember, I had AI create a song with a voiceover of Fernando.
En tus oídos, melodía toca.
You have to admit, this is
con
awesome.
Guitarra y la orquesta en voz. Dramático en el aire flota.
Isn't it good?
Esto es Fernando Alonso.
It's so good.
I just think, and especially because now I hate the use of AI and then it's everywhere. Yeah. It's managed to make search engines worse.
Yes.
It's managed to make my email worse. Like, I didn't know that was possible, but thank you, AI. You've made my email worse. Great.
I know. I had a meme today that I'll share with you guys. It's a then and now sort of thing. So it says Googling stuff. On the left-hand side, it says then, search results, the thing you want.
Right.
Now, search results, AI taking a wild stab at it with some blatant misinformation. Sponsored results, sponsored results, sponsored results, sponsored. People also ask and then view products. It's so true.
Yeah.
Thanks, AI.
Meanwhile, I'm just bleeding out and I just want to know what to do, right?
Just tell. I
just want to stop the bleeding. Yeah. I just think it's terrible. So.
Yeah. Do I have thrush?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Oh, yeah. Well, it'll take a while till you get to what you wanted. But
yeah, it does. Too long.
That's great.
Too much perspective. Anyway.
So,
all right. You want some no shit headlines?
I was going to say maybe MBS can fix that for us.
Yes, he will. Here, fix this. Fix this.
There you
go. Go stand here. No, go over here. Now walk this way. Now step on the scale.
There you go.
Right. Did you write that down? Yeah.
You don't get a microphone. I also did see there's a meme where it's Hal, but Hal's answers are what you would get from asking something like Siri. So he said, it's like, Hal, close the bay doors. You want to listen to the Doors? It was great.
Yeah.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
That was a good one.
So I always think that was great. Yeah.
All right. No shit headlines. Ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
First one is up. Former F1 team boss Jordan reveals cancer diagnosis. And I'm sorry to say that's horrible.
Eddie Jordan.
Yeah, Eddie Jordan. I mean, he's such an iconic character of Formula One.
Man.
Oddly, the person who was explaining the sport to me didn't mention Eddie Jordan or Jordan and the Buzzin' Hornets.
Or maybe Eddie Jordan is the one that was explaining the sport to you.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't EJ.
Because you would have known, because it's Eddie Jordan.
EJ. I know
Everybody
EJ. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. That is really, really is. I think it's prostate and maybe bladder. Sorry to hear that. So I'm wishing him the best, AJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a pillar of the sport. And one of the if you're newer to the sport, he's one of the iconic privateers in the sport.
And I think that, he's often known for, because I sort of started watching towards the end of Eddie Jordan.
Yes.
But his transparency was what was great. Like, he would just should be like, come see my, like we always joke about now, like all the mechanics, stand around the back of a car or whatever, so you can't see all the stuff. Eddie would be like, come on in, bring your cameras. Let me show you what we're doing. So I think that kind of access was really helpful for a new fan, for somebody like, what are they doing? What is such a big secret? I think he was just really open to showing everybody everything. And then he's such a crazy personality. He's the kind of guy you're like, do I want to go to this party? Oh, Eddie Jordan's going to be there. I want to go to this party.
Yeah.
Right? So
EJ was great.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, Oliver Behrman makes surprise admission after a, quote, strange and unexpected F1 curveball. This is an interesting article because he said when he got the call to stand in for Carlos Sainz when Carlos had appendicitis, he was really struggling with imposter syndrome. Wow. And that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And while all the other young F1 drivers that get called up and thrown into F1 from F2 will tell you that, I was born for this, I'm ready. I appreciate all their confidence, but deep down inside, they're all feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, thinking,
I don't know how you couldn't be,
do I have what it takes to go up against Fernando, Lewis, Max, Lando, Charles? Do I have that?
And in a way that the rest of his career hangs on that, in a way that neither you are. I think every human faces that sort of imposter syndrome, and to what degree. But, I feel that it doesn't affect the rest of my career. Nobody's going to be like, most people are going to be like, oh yeah, I feel that way too, right? Like, can you believe that we got to this point? But so much of his life is on his shoulders based on how he does those 3 races. So
So kudos to him for being honest about that. That's not something easy to admit.
He did wear tennis shoes to the prize giving ceremony.
Yes. So. And you got to like that.
I don't know. Everybody else was wearing dress shoes. He wasn't even wearing like cool sneakers. He was just wearing some white sneakers.
That's young man. I have to wear hard shoes.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
I don't like the hard shoes, Mom. They make my feet hurt.
But I think if you're gonna wear like tennis shoes, you got to wear some fashionable tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Like you got to lean right into that. Like
Some
wearing
really cool
your pattern
suede
tie.
Adidas.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Something really, really fancy if you're not going to wear the hard shoes.
Some
But no,
Allbirds.
Yeah, that's it.
Next up, former F1 star Daniel Ricciardo responds to bombshell rumor regarding his return to motorsport. How does this actually work? The press is starting to write that, these rumors that he could be joining Cadillac F1 as a shock return to F1. Who said that? Nobody said that. Just fans on social media were tweeting that. The media picks it up like it's insider rumors, and it's not.
It's just some people.
And it's just fans bloviating online is all it is. Oh, shock rumors. Rumors from who?
Right.
Fans saying it on social media is not rumor. Those are just people talking out of their ass.
Yeah.
That's not a rumor. That's just people, hey, wouldn't it be great if D-Rick went to F1? And Cadillac? No. Come on, man.
Although
be better.
Actually, I prefer to believe that Ricciardo is living his best life as a Bills fan.
Yeah.
Every time it snows, right? So that's the big thing, right? That they always have all the fans come early to help, shovel the snow and shovel the field. And I'm just waiting for one of these times. Danny Rick's going to be out there on the, waving at everybody while he's, right, exactly, plowing the field with all the other
big
Bills
number
fans.
3 painted on it.
Yes, I think
putting people on the wall.
Yeah, live your best life. Go be a Bills fan. Just keep doing that.
There was some talk that maybe Toyota may pick him up for a sports car.
I think that would be fine.
I think would be awesome.
I think that would be great. But I do think that he should just be at Bills games.
Yeah.
And be that guy with the beer, big number 3 on his chest. Live your life, Ricciardo. It would be great. Those are your people.
Those are your peeps.
That's right.
I agree. All right. Well, that does it for this podcast, Grace. I'm done.
All right. Whatever. One done.
So done.
12
down.
More to go.
12 more to go. Woo! I can't wait to what content we have on the 10th one.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
I don't know. I hope Pecco comes through with us and they have another Vroom-esque event because I don't know what we're going to do.
Look, Melton's already bailing out. He's already bailing out on us. I haven't even got to my, post-show, salutations yet.
It's a good another 20 minutes. He's done.
I'm not listening to all this crap.
He already is a Patreon supporter.
He is a Patreon supporter.
He doesn't need all this stuff.
He doesn't need all this. Yeah, I agree. Love Melton. All right, so that does it for this podcast. But be sure to join us next week when we bring you all the news. I can't guarantee Grace is going to wear her McLaren gear all off season, but it wouldn't surprise me if she did. But I can't guarantee that.
I do have some other surprises, so it will not just be all McLaren.
Grace always had. Talk about surprises. Grace, folks, this is how awesome Grace. She sent me a holiday card.
Yeah. Well,
and in the card, you know what it said? It didn't say just Todd. Have a happy holiday. Do you know what it said? It had everyone in my family. My wife's name, daughter's name, my dogs, all 3 of my dogs' names, 2 cats' names.
All 7 of the animals living in your house. That's
had
right.
all of them. That's how awesome Grace is. She is just wonderful. So anyway.
And I wish you luck as a Ferrari fan because much like
we were texting about that.
I feel that every football team having suffered with the Steelers and then we won a Super Bowl and that was amazing.
Well,
everybody
knows
should get that experience.
Yeah, I've been a lifelong Chiefs fan. I lived through the Bill Kinney, Steve Fuller years, all through the late 70s into the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, suffered through all of that. And now I have people accusing me of being a bandwagon Chiefs fan. It's
That's hilarious.
No, dude. No. So anyway, all right, we'll be back. Hey, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters like Dave, who left. Way to go, Dave. See, Melton hung around because Melton is hardcore.
This is like football. The last 5 minutes really takes 10 minutes.
You seeing who's leaving, see?
That's right.
Anyway, huge thank you to our Patreon supporters because we could not and would not do this podcast without all of you. You guys are awesome, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart because wherever you guys are listening. Some of you are listening when you're drive time going to work. Maybe you're listening at work or in between your job, or maybe you're going to your second job, or whatever it might be that you're living through your life. You're finding ways to squeeze the podcast in and listen to it, and we are incredibly grateful for all of your support. So thank you. And we will be back. Will we be back next week?
Yeah.
Yes, we will. It's the 23rd. It's right before Christmas. That's
right. I hope you got all your shopping done, Todd. You got like a week. You better get on it.
I got to figure it out.
I don't know. Enzo's going to be very mad.
Yeah. Sure the hell is. Yep. And we will be back next week when we do it all over again. So until that time, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
I feel I've got to prove it all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.